The archivists had witnessed the rise and fall of 4,000 civilizations. They had cataloged every law, every moral code, every commandment that thinking beings had ever conceived. The great tablet housed them all, 6,001 absolute truths carved in crystalline memory that would outlast the stars themselves. Vito Ray stood before it now, his weathered hands clasped behind his back, his gray eyes reflecting the soft blue luminescence of ancient wisdom. He was the first human to ever stand in this chamber, deep within the nexus of eternal law. You understand the significance of what you see? Archivist Thelzara's voice echoed through the cathedral-like space, translated by the neural implant behind Vito's ear. The alien's four eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture Vito had learned meant profound seriousness. I think I'm beginning to, Vito replied, his voice quiet but steady. The tablet stretched before him, a wall of living light 20 meters high. Each commandment pulsed with its own rhythm, a heartbeat of certainty. Vito read them as they scrolled past. Laws about justice, retribution, hierarchy, survival. They were beautiful in their absoluteness, terrifying in their rigidity. Commandment 1247. The debtor who cannot pay shall serve 7 cycles in bondage. Commandment 2891. The weak who cannot defend their territory forfeit their right to exist within it. Commandment 4532. A lie spoken to save the unworthy compounds the sin of both falsehood and misplaced mercy. Thelzara moved closer, her crystalline robes chiming softly. 6,001 commandments gathered across 8 million years. Every advanced species that has ever joined the Galactic Congress has contributed. These are not suggestions, human. These are the immutable laws that govern civilized space. And you follow all of them? Vito asked. Without exception. They represent the collective wisdom of the universe. To break even one is to invite chaos. Vito continued reading. The commandments covered everything. War, peace, trade, punishment, child-rearing, death, honor. Each one carved with the certainty of mathematics, the finality of physics. Commandment 59998. The murderer shall be executed in the manner of their crime, so that balance is restored. Commandment 5999. No mercy shall be granted to those who show none, for compassion wasted is justice denied. Commandment 6000. The criminal's family bears the shame for 3 generations that bloodlines may learn restraint. Vito stopped. His jaw tightened. And here, Thelzara said, gesturing with one of her forearms, is humanity's contribution. Commandment 6001, submitted by your predecessor as required for entry into the Congress. The final commandment glowed brighter than the rest. Commandment 6001. Those who violate the sanctity of life shall face absolute punishment, with no consideration of circumstance or intent. Vito stared at it for a long moment. Then he laughed, a short, bitter sound that made Thelzara's sensory stalks retract in confusion. We didn't write that, Vito said. Your ambassador Kowalski submitted it personally 50 years ago. It bears humanity's genetic signature in the archive. No, Vito said, turning to face her fully. I mean, we wrote the words, but we didn't mean them. Not really. Thelzara's confusion deepened, her translator struggling with the nuance. Explain. Vito reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device, a human datapad crude by galactic standards. He tapped it once and a hologram appeared. A courtroom, a judge, a young woman weeping. This is from Earth 50 years ago. The same year we joined the Congress. Vito's voice was steady, but his eyes were distant. A mother stole medicine for her dying child. The medicine was expensive, proprietary. Under our old laws, the harsh ones we thought would impress you, she should have been imprisoned for years. The hologram shifted. The judge was speaking. But the judge did something different, Vito continued. He looked at the law, then at the woman, then at the child in the hospital footage. And he said, the law is important, but it is not more important than understanding why laws exist. He violated his own commandment? Thelzara asked, horrified. He showed mercy, Vito corrected. He gave her community service. He connected her with resources. The child lived. The mother never stole again. Everyone moved forward. But the law is a tool, Vito said firmly. A good one. An important one. But when we built it, we made sure to build in exceptions. Room for judges to think. Space for mercy. He walked toward the tablet and Thelzara tensed. What are you doing? Vito's hand hovered over the interface panel beside Commandment 6001. I'm correcting our submission. We've had 50 years to see how your absolute laws work. We've watched you execute juveniles who made mistakes. We've seen families destroyed for minor infractions. We've observed your perfect justice, Archivist. And we reject it. His finger moved, and before Thelzara could stop him, he pressed the deletion sequence. Commandment 6001 flickered and died. The chamber erupted in alarms. Red light bathed everything. Thelzara stumbled backward, all four eyes wide with shock. You've destroyed the archive's integrity. 6,000 years without a single deletion, and you... I erased one law, Vito said calmly over the sirens. One absolute. Because we learned something you haven't yet. What could humans possibly teach the Congress? Vito turned to face her, and in his eyes she saw something she'd never encountered in any species' gaze. Not weakness, not uncertainty, but a strange kind of strength that terrified her. We learned that mercy isn't weakness, it's strength. The strength to look at a rule and ask, does this serve justice or just order? The courage to say, this person made a mistake, but they can grow. The wisdom to know that rigid perfection isn't the same as being right. The alarms stopped. In the sudden silence, other archivists rushed into the chamber, their voices overlapping in a dozen languages. Vito didn't move. You wanted humanity in your Congress because we survived when we shouldn't have. Because we adapted. Because we won wars we were supposed to lose. You thought it was our technology or our aggression. He pointed at the empty space where Commandment 6001 had been. It was mercy. We gave second chances. We rehabilitated instead of just punished. We let people prove they could be better than their worst moment. That's why we're still here. Thelzara looked at the gap in the tablet, the first gap in 6,000 years, and felt something crack inside her worldview. The Congress will demand your expulsion for this. Maybe, Vito said, already walking toward the exit. Or maybe they'll finally ask themselves why their perfect laws haven't created a perfect society. He paused at the doorway and looked back one last time. We'll be waiting when you're ready to learn. The human left, and in the chamber of eternal law, 6,000 commandments glowed with absolute certainty. But where 6001 had been, there was now only darkness, and in that darkness a question none of them had dared to ask in 8 million years. What if we're wrong?